Welcome to the Mexpreneurs Podcast, the podcast about the stories of Mexican tech startup founders who are building world-class, fast-growing companies and having a positive impact at a large scale. My name is Sergio Chavez. I'm a Mexican based in Germany, a tech startup founder, executive, and mentor, and your host. Today we welcome back Dario Casanova together with his co-founder, Eddy Hernandez. They are the founders of SolarX, a FinTech startup based in Austin, USA. SolarX is a crowdfunding platform that connects investors with opportunities in the solar energy sector, allowing anyone to invest in solar projects with as little as $10. By providing industrial companies with solar energy at no upfront cost, SolarX helps them reduce their energy expenses while offering investors attractive returns. Since its inception, SolarX has gained traction by successfully delivering projects across Mexico and is now expanding into Colombia, attracting interest from international investors. Dario and Eddy are both co-CEOs. In addition, Dario is Chief Operations Officer, while Eddy is Chief Technology Officer. They are both originally from Monterrey, Mexico. Since SolarX is a two-sided platform, Dario is primarily responsible to win solar energy projects with industrial companies and to create strategic partnerships with key players in the renewable energy ecosystem, including technology providers, service companies, and more. On the other side, Eddy is responsible to bring investors on board, both institutional and retail investors who invest in the solar energy projects and to develop the technology to scale and grow the platform. Prior to SolarX, Eddy worked at a B2C e-commerce startup after completing his undergraduate degree in computer science. I hope you enjoy. Support for this episode comes from Skyflare, a cybersecurity company with a mission to make e-commerce safe for online shops and which currently protects dozens of Shopify-based businesses through its 360 degrees holistic protection. As an online shop owner, you know that every cent you spend in online advertisement counts, especially in Google AdWords. Therefore, keeping a tight control of your budget and the ROI are essential. Nevertheless, there are bad actors out there who can make those costs explode. Skyflare's Click Fraud Protection solution helps you prevent and resolve those threats. At Mexpreneurs, we had the privilege to have Skyflare's founders in the podcast, including Juan Ocampo, a Mexican tech startup founder and Skyflare's Chief Operations Officer. Visit skyflare.com/mexpreneurs to learn more and also to get a 10% discount during your first 3 months of your annual subscription. Skyflare is at the moment available in Europe, Mexico, and Canada through the Shopify App Store. Hello, Dario. Hello, Eddy. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello, how's it going?
Thank you for having us again, Sergio.
Thank you guys for being here. So please tell us, what is SolarX?
Eddy, you want to take this one? Yeah, go for it.
So basically, we provide renewable energy to enterprises and to governments. Currently, they have to pay like $1 million for a solar system, for example. What we do is instead of them paying $1 million for a solar system, we will pay for it 100%. And now, instead of buying energy from the grid, that is usually dirty energy, we provide renewable energy and they buy it at the same rate or even at a discount compared to local utility prices.
How exactly does this work? So you guys are building this two-sided crowdfunding platform. How exactly do you bring together the clients who buy the energy? How exactly do you bring also the investors on the other side?
SolarX is like an onion. It has a lot of layers, has a lot of stakeholders. It's not that complicated, but there's a lot of pieces you have to put together. But long story short, what we're doing is there's clients who are not willing to pay, let's say, $500,000, $1 million, or even more for a solar system. So what we do is we connect them. First, we started with private equity, which was easier to bootstrap. They are basically funding these projects. And then these projects so it's industrial size, industrial and government, and they sell energy that is being paid monthly and they get back their return. So we are kind of like a facilitator. It's kind of like a FinTech, but also in the clean tech space. That's basically what we're doing. And the next step is actually launching a retail app. So anyone can invest from $10, for example.
I would like to jump in that question a little bit just to wrap that up in a nutshell. The idea here is that we go to industrial energy consumers. We tell them, we're going to put solar panels on your roof and we're going to sell you the energy that they generate at a discount. So to them, this means energy savings without having to invest a single dollar. How we raise that money for that specific solar energy system is that we go out and we ask people, just everyday people, crowdfunders we call them, to invest with as little as $10. They put the money in. Whenever you put money in, you're an owner of a little part of that solar energy system. Therefore, whatever money it generates, it's yours. So that's how we give the returns to the people. And this is on a monthly basis because energy is being sold monthly. So it's very interesting because investors or crowdfunders can get a lot of liquidity through this model while helping companies consume clean energy.
And for example, thinking about these industrial clients that you guys serve, are there any other alternative options for them to finance when they want to install like solar systems in their, I don't know, in their factories and so forth? Because we were briefly talking about that in the previous episode. I think that was one of the main challenges that gave birth to SolarX. The fact that they didn't have the budget, that they were struggling just to collect the capital to pay for or invest in a solar system. But are there other options in the market? I don't know, can they go to a bank and get financing, get a credit to pay for that? Or what is the issue that these industrial clients that you're serving have in terms of getting that money to invest in? And why a solution like SolarX is so important?
Substitutes or other solutions on the technology side, for example, solar panels, wind energy, or whatever, definitely solar energy is the fastest and easiest, right? And cheapest as well. Clients usually rather have solar energy. Also, marketing wise, it looks very good. Everyone knows what solar panels are. It looks super clean. It looks nice. In that regard, that's definitely the best product they can get. As for substitution in the financial area of the business model, there are other options, of course, banks, but that represent a debt. And what we have found, and that's why we started SolarX, is that industrial companies usually don't have that budget allocated for anything. I mean, they already have their budget ready to go before the year has even started. And they always have all of their investments ready to go. All of the investments are usually focused on growing whatever their business is. So their production line, to do, I don't know, new technologies, but that add value to their products. Whenever you say you're just gonna invest to save on energy, that's not an investment that they're very excited about. And getting a loan for that, that's also not something that they are usually excited about. That's where SolarX comes in because they don't have to invest anything or get in. This is not a loan, so it's very easy for them to say yes.
I would assume this is a problem that any industrial client has, any factory, any manufacturing company, not only in the US, in Mexico, but all over the globe.
Exactly. All over the globe. Usually the international companies that we work with are international. That means they can have that same problem in Mexico, in the United States, in Europe, in Africa, wherever. It's always the same issue, definitely.
And is it only industrial clients who have this pain, or also in the B2B space where you guys are active, are there also other types of B2B customers for which a solution like this is relevant?
Definitely, there's other sectors where this is relevant. We are focusing on industrial mainly because, we have to start somewhere. And secondly, because it's most definitely the most profitable and easiest market. Usually industrial companies have a big roof where you can put a lot of solar panels. They usually consume a lot of energy, which is usually not clean energy, it's dirty energy. And they usually pay a lot for energy because they consume so much. The prices are really high. And the higher the energy price, the higher the return for the project, the higher the return for our investors. That's why we started with industrial. We're definitely looking into expanding into other areas, but for now, industrial is our target.
And looking into the future, considering a wide adoption of SolarX in the future by industrial customers and even by other sectors, what's that big vision that you guys have? Like every industrial company should have solar. How the world would look like in the future thanks to SolarX?
The idea of democratizing energy has been, in the works for a while now. And the interesting thing about doing this is that whenever you think, as I said, solar panels, solar energy fields, wind turbines, whatever, you think huge companies that are the owners of these projects, and nobody really knows how profitable they are because energy is super profitable. And the idea of doing, SolarX is that instead of seeing, I don't know, a solar field whenever you're driving on a highway somewhere and thinking, oh, I wonder who owns this, you'll be able to think, the people own this, like a lot of people own this. Maybe the people that live in that city where the energy is going to own this, and they are making money and growing the local economy. And that can work for anything energy related, not just solar. It can work for all the transmission lines, those huge towers with those huge cables that you see on the highways. And you think these lines are owned by, crowdfunders, and they are making money instead of just one huge company keeping all of that. You can give it to everyone and boost the economy.
I want to jump on this one. I have like two sides of this one. The first one is on the enterprise. It doesn't make sense in Mexico. 80% of the energy comes from fossil fuels, and the government is not really pushing it like clean tech that much. Somebody has to do it, so we want to jump in. And on the consumer side, what I really think is, so if you ask people, especially who work in investments, tell me low risk asset classes. They will tell you private and public debt, so CDs and treasury bonds, or like real estate. We want to add a new one, which is renewable energy. We want people to see renewable energy as an investment, and right now it's not a thing. If you ask people around, hey, do you invest in real estate? If they don't own a property, they at least can invest in REITs. But investing in renewable energy and getting monthly returns out of selling energy is not a thing. So we want to change that.
And also the democratization that you were talking about. Right now, I would assume that a big bottleneck for the adoption of renewable energies is indeed that there's just a few players that are investing in solar, in wind turbines, and so forth. So this is really about pulling a big amount of money from different sources, especially from people, from everyday people who can actually deploy that capital into these type of projects. And now switching gears, guys, into the traction from SolarX. Like you've already been several months building this venture. What are some of the milestones that you guys have achieved? What some of the feedback you've received?
First, starting a clean tech company is hard. It's not like a SaaS business, an AI, like a GPT call that you can do in your dorm room or like in your laptop, in your Mac. It's something like, okay, let's build $1 million solar farm. How do you start? Bootstrapping is hard. And right now with this economy, it's incredibly hard. So basically you have to create this demand and get all the stakeholders, the energy buyers, which is basically where we install the solar farms. They sign first an LOI, then you pass it to an MOU, so it's bindable, and then you get the private equity says, hey, I'm willing to pay for this project. And it's a PPA agreement, meaning it's a power purchase. It's a 15-year contract for selling energy. It's kind of like real estate. You want to see it that way with a 15-year contract and just like connecting all the pieces to even start, which is pretty hard. So the traction wise, I told Dario, hey, can you get me like any LOIs? That's what we need because I was trying to fundraise and it was really hard. Like, oh, we're starting, right? He went with 5 clients and 5 clients basically signed LOI. So it's like now we have a good problem, right? So we started with the smallest one, which is a project in our hometown in Monterrey. And from there, I mean, Dario can talk a little bit more about it. Now we want to add more energies outside of solar. And I think Dario can speak a little about the waste energy and why he's in Spain. And one of the amazing things about bringing a technology that is patent and is only being developed in the EU is like we will have no competitors, at least for the first a couple of years in the Americas. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for those listening, I'm in Spain right now, walking on the streets, having a good time over here. But I came here for a very specific purpose, which is a new type of technology that we're trying to add to SolarX, to the business model. Because as Eddy said, we started with solar panels, going to clients, talking to them. That was just adding to the hardness or to the difficulty of that task, is that not every company is going to sign a 15-year contract with just a guy that comes and knocks on their door, right? Getting that trust from the clients that signed those letters to us was also a challenge, definitely. The industrial game is a contact game. You need to know the right people, you need to make friends with the right people, and that's how you can go forward. And now, here in Spain, we're adding a new technology, which is waste to energy, basically. I'm together over here with Hyundai, car manufacturing company from South Korea, together with some companies from Latvia, that they have a new technology which basically will take all sort of waste. You don't need to even sort it, unsorted municipal waste, and do a process called gasification. And through that, at the end, you get energy. You get the same result as solar panels. You grab that energy and you sell it cheaper than what clients are currently paying, but you get it through waste. It's very, very interesting because you're solving a big problem there, which is all of the waste that goes to the landfills, they no longer have to go to landfills and be buried because you can just gasify them and create energy. And we're also trying to democratize that technology and add it to SolarX so anyone can invest in it. You can say, oh, I'm the owner of a part of a machine that takes waste in France or in Spain and is generating super clean energy. That's also an idea, and we want to expand even further, not just waste and solar. We want to even expand to micronuclear in the future, wind, hydro, all types of renewable technologies.
So the plan is then that industrial customers that you will be serving, they will get solar, they could get waste, different sources of renewable energy generation, and all of those in those, let's say, 10, 15-year contract that you guys are establishing. But at the end of the day, I think you're covering many different bases of how they can be producing and be also energy sufficient or self-sufficient.
We want to add those options to them so companies need to reach a certain goal in the carbon offset space. They cannot just keep polluting. So by saying, hey, I'm going to give you this energy that comes from waste to energy, they can completely check that mark of the pollution. So it's very, very interesting for clients as well to purchase this type of clean energy.
Yeah. So basically, for example, with the waste to energy, it can be either where industrial customers that have a lot of waste, or in this case, municipalities. They're taking care of the waste, right? In one way or another, although they outsource it. But the main thing is here, we can go with them and say, hey, we're going to take your waste and all your waste management is going to be cheaper or your costs. But the main thing is we're going to make it cleaner. Literally, we get the volume and instead of throwing it to a landfill, we reduce the volume by 90%. So it's almost like 10 times smaller. And there's a synthetic gas on the side that is being produced, makes zero emissions. And this synthetic gas, I'm going to sell it and I'm going to give you royalties. So basically what I'm going with the government is I'm going to make your operations cheaper for free and I'm going to give you money. Do you want it? It's a no-brainer.
We will be right back for a conversation with our guest. Support for this episode comes from Partnership Leaders, the leading community of partnership professionals and executives in SaaS and tech with over 1,500 members globally. We're living in the decade of the ecosystem, and every CEO needs to become a partnership leader. Just take a look at the top companies in the world today like Microsoft, Google, and Apple. They have all become platform companies, and partnership executives in IT have been the ones leading these transformations. Partnership Leaders brings these executives together and is building a playbook to enable CEOs and business leaders across industries to transform their organizations into platform companies. If you're a tech startup founder, Partnership Leaders is the place for you to learn how to leverage partnerships to take your business to the next level. I'm a member of PL and co-host of the Germany chapter and have seen firsthand the richness and value of this incredible community. Visit partnershipleaders.com to learn more and to apply to become a member. Make sure to mention in your application that Mexpreneurs referred you so you can receive a special price if your application is accepted. Fascinating. Guys, let's now talk briefly about the team. So I have the opportunity to talk to both of you. You guys are the founders of SolarX. What is the role of each of you? Who's, in addition to the two of you, also in SolarX?
The good thing about this type of project is that you don't need that many people to start. We're currently officially just 3 people in SolarX. Eddy, myself, and Olivier, one of our angel investors who also liked the project so much that he wanted to jump in and became our chief commercial officer. And we both have a role of co-CEO. We do this because we're always traveling. Eddy is based in Austin. I'm also in Austin most of the time, but have to travel a lot. And we need the seriousness of the title to be able to talk with everyone that we talk to, investors, clients, everyone. That's why we do the co-CEO position. And I am currently the COO, operations officer of SolarX, while Eddy is officially the CTO, technology officer. Anything you want to add, Eddy?
Yeah, I want to add a lot. So something interesting is they recommend the CEO role to whoever is raising money. But the thing is, as we have like both startup side and more like we have a clean tech side, we're basically building solar systems and like now waste to energy systems. Dario is fundraising more in the traditional way, talking with private equity, with Fortune 500 companies as the companies he's working. While for me, being here in Austin in a tech hub, I'm talking more for people, instead of investing in renewable energy projects, investing in a startup that is going to be like the financial arm and it's like scalable product. And I'm talking to angel investors and to VC. So we're both fundraising in different areas. So Dario is more like focused in projects, while me, I'm focused more in angel investment. So it's investing in like equity in the startup itself. And also we were accepted to an accelerator. Supposedly right now we should be in a call with Park Benjamin, who is our fractional CFO. So this accelerator, I sent him a text like, hey, we're going to be like a little late. But the main thing is amazing because you are an international founder, you move to the States and he's like, hey, how do I do taxes? How do I do this? How do I get a visa? So they help you with all the problems that international founders have. He just helps us with all the financial things and legal. So it's amazing. So that's on the team. So it's basically like or four. And we can talk a little about our advisors. We have really good advisors from the energy space to even like someone who is really related with a foreign investment in Mexico, to Mohamed, who's like for marketing, to Raul Justa, who's helping us with all. He's a PhD on renewable energy.
Politics as well. We have a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, so whenever we have like a problem, we have someone that we can call. So you just have to build like the perfect team. And yeah, that's basically it.
Also, an important part is that we have a lot of I'll call them sister companies, but they are usually just people that we know in these companies that they want to participate in SolarX in one way or another to operate. And these companies can be anything really. We have solar panel manufacturing companies that help us or they want to do whatever they can to help us with SolarX, have SolarX grow. We have energy wholesale companies in Mexico. We have energy wholesale companies in Colombia. We have project developers in Colombia, Mexico, Spain, Costa Rica, Ecuador, a lot of countries that we have touched base and told them this is what SolarX is, this is what we can offer. And they say, oh, count me in your portfolio of sister companies that we can work with. Now, Hyundai, Siemens, big companies that are willing to help us grow. And even though they're not officially part of the team, they always talk about projects with us. They want to help us grow in that sense. So we kind of consider them, in a sense, advisors in a small sense, right?
And the only one that right now is official, it's Cipsa, which is a company that was acquired by Daikin. With Daikin, and it's like a Fortune 500 company. They build HVAC systems. And what they are offering is HVAC as a service. So you're a hotel, for example, you don't want to pay upfront for the HVAC system on, let's say, Cancun. So they put $0 upfront and they charge you as a service. So they saw our product that is really similar. So right now we have a joint venture with them. Just making partnership with the right people, with the right companies, and that's how we move.
So basically having a small core team, but then of course a lot of different people supporting, partners supporting, because I would assume the moment that you close one of these big contracts that we mentioned 10, 15 years, so at that moment of time, somebody needs to go install the panels, manage the panels, get the financing. There's a lot of moving pieces that kick off from that moment. So I can imagine you need a village to do something in such a scale, in a successful way.
Exactly. And that's why we have a small core team that takes care of all of the administration and then go to other entities to help us with all of that operations part.
And now, guys, I would love to learn more about the priorities from you guys, from SolarX for the upcoming months. Let's say in the next 3 to 6 months. We already touched briefly about some of the big things in which you guys are working, but what will be, from your perspective, some of the top 3 things in which you're currently working in the following months?
To start, before getting into the typical, which is raising money for the startup and growing in that regard, definitely closing projects. That's a very important issue in my side of the business, because it's very important that we have quality projects that we can start offering to investors. And as I said before, it's not that easy to get those 15-year contracts signed quickly, right? It can be a matter that takes quite a few months to close. And that's why one of the main goals that we have right now is to be able to close some projects, get the ball rolling, make it grow even bigger. Basically, go around and establish the presence of SolarX. And that's why all of these events like the podcast and all of this helps us a lot, because it gives credibility to what SolarX is. And it's easier for us to find both investors and clients when we're doing this.
I really feel like we don't need to raise money. I mean, we're like profitable barely, but we're profitable. We don't have a burn rate, so it's like infinite. But the main thing, I mean, on my side on the fintech, is like it makes no sense to start an investment platform with retail users, especially if you're bootstrapping. Why do I say this? If we're building $1 million solar farms and retail investors, on average, if you see like other competitors, they usually invest like $1,000 per user, meaning you need 1,000 users just to start your first project. So that's why we went more with institutional investor side. But now that we are rolling, so now the next thing that I'm doing that actually I started yesterday, there's 90 days left in this year, now 89. I'm doing a 90-day design and build an app challenge. I'm going to build an app, and the plan is in 90 days, we're launching our app. So it's going to be pretty interesting. Now we're going to be allowing a couple users, going to be like a beta testers, for them to be able to invest in our platform.
And again, it goes back to these two-sided platform that you guys are building. So the one hand side, that you're busy closing more contracts, more projects, while on the other side, now, Eddy, you're focused on expanding this also to retail investors, continue growing different institutional investors who can continue financing these projects. So you guys are going to be busy building both sides of the equation moving forward.
That's kind of one of the things that, as I was saying, one of the main things that you have to worry about when you have a startup is your co-founders, right? And in this regard, this is why it works so well, because we can both do something that the other can't, which in my case is, closing all these deals, talking to these big investors, talking to these Fortune 500 companies, while Eddy takes care of all of the other technological side, all of the fintech side, regulations, making sure the app runs seamlessly, that anyone can invest, all of that. We have that work cut out for us, and it's been easy to move forward when you know someone is on the other side or going parallel with you moving forward, right? You don't have to keep worrying about every single detail of the startup because you know someone else is helping you.
I would say finding like co-founder is like founding a girlfriend or a partner. It's really important, and there's some weeks that I talk to Dario like so much because like we're working side by side. I mean, we had to travel to Houston. We basically okay now we're roommates and this and that. It's kind of like a new relationship in one sense. You need someone that you can trust, and also like for me, something that is really important is I want someone who is willingly to work 7 days a week. So basically, so no work-life balance at the beginning. Eventually, it's gonna make like okay, we're gonna be able to chill the first years. I mean, you have to basically work as much as you can because there's so many startup founders who are working the same or more than you, and the odds are not on our side. So you have to work and just make it work.
And guys, we're also talking about now the expansion to Colombia. Is Colombia the main market in which you're going to be focused for now? Or do you already have plans for opening other markets in the upcoming months?
As of now, as I said before, the main factor that we look at when we go to another market is the price energy, right? The higher the price, the higher the return. And that's kind of like the main factor. Then after that, you look at how safe the investments are, how fast you can do them, etc., etc. The main sectors right now that are very interesting project-wise are definitely the US, Mexico, Colombia, and Spain, for sure. We're looking into those markets. That's where we're currently operating. We have other options to work. We have some projects that we're looking at in Panama, some projects that we're looking in Ecuador. We're definitely willing to go anywhere. We even have some projects that we're looking at in Japan, but we have to pick our battles, you know? So that's the best part of being a fintech is that we can basically go anywhere and start operating anywhere because we're just putting the money in and then we just have to make sure we can find those clients, find those projects, and that's it. We can start.
And I also recall that was one of the key reasons why you decided to incorporate the company in the US, because that gave you also that flexibility to deploy capital all over the globe in comparison to what it would be based in Mexico, plus all the regulation hurdles. So it gives you then basically you have the whole world ahead of you.
We are working on a partnership that we've been trying to get for a while now that we're getting regulated by the ICC. It's going to be way easier to close with companies like PayPal, Stripe, you know, that they can offer us the availability to operate wherever they are operating currently. By being regulated in the US, the SEC, all that gives us that flexibility for sure that we don't get basically anywhere else in the world.
Let's say you are a German or from anywhere, right? And you're going to use a fintech product, products like Revolut, or you have products in the US, like international fintech products, and you have one in Mexico. Unfortunately, the reality is a lot of people will go towards something that is either in Europe, in the US or Canada, like, you know, global north countries. It's just what it is. It makes sense. And we had to start with something.
We're still Mexican. The company might not be, but we are.
So unfortunately, we're reaching the end of our conversation. And what we always do is we close our conversations with your best advice for aspiring founders. Dario, you already gave us in the previous episode some great golden nuggets. Is there anything else that you would like to add on top of that? And of course, Eddy, I would love to also get your best advice.
Eddy, you can go first while I think of one.
Okay, so I'm going to quote Paul Graham from Y Combinator, PG. He says something that's pretty interesting. Do things that don't scale. So at the beginning, for example, right now I have like a side thing that I'm doing and I just learn it really good. I develop it, I build it, and then I delegate it. And if you were asking me like, hey, should I be the one who is doing this kind of task every day? No. But at the beginning, you have to do it. And now that I know it, I can delegate it. For me, eventually, the easiest thing is going to be to delegate coding because I'm a good developer, so I know how to delegate it. But you have to learn a little of everything. Like if you're a founder, you need to learn. Now we're starting a lot with LinkedIn, with social media, from design to like sales, and you have to learn literally a little of everything. Of course, you have like something that you're a specialist, but before delegating, you need to learn and do it yourself.
And then the other thing that happens a lot is don't be afraid to call people. That happens a lot, you know, more than you think. A lot of people, whenever they are doing their startup, growing, they usually think of different options or different ways to reach potential clients, potential customers, potential investors, whatever. And they usually say, oh, I can just send a message to your LinkedIn or a message through WhatsApp or whatever. And that'll be enough. But sometimes it's very, very important that you can actually have a call with someone. And nowadays that we are so after COVID, we're so used to doing virtual calls and virtual, you know, podcasts and stuff like that, everything. It's perfect. But the reality is that still meeting someone in person can help a lot, even though that can be very, very taxating in, our social batteries. Sometimes meeting in person can change everything. That's why also going to those typical networking events, all of that, that sometimes they might just have you there stalling and talking to people that brought nothing to you. But sometimes you find those very, very meaningful connections that can open a whole new world of possibilities to you.
And I want to add a third one, probably the last one for me. Build a social media presence, build a community, and do stuff for free, quote unquote. Because you want, for example, whenever you're fundraising, that we're currently not doing it, but I want, whenever I start fundraising, all these investors seeing me, my social media presence weekly, I'm doing 2 to 3 posts. They see that, oh, there's something happening there, and I'm on their mind. So it's just easier as if eventually I just go like, hey, my name is Eddy. So it's better if they already like just see you online. So just build a community, build your social media presence, and do a lot of stuff for free. So right now I have 4 side projects: a running club, a meetup for Latino founders in Austin, a design page that is a daily thing and weekly, and last but not least, a newsletter for like startup events. And that's really helpful, and it's been helping me a lot.
Doing things that don't scale, giving a call or meeting people in person, and also building that social presence. I think these examples of the work that you're doing are a great proof of the type of activities that someone could be doing to build that network, build that presence.
Something as a running club, which is, I think that's such a great idea to start. You're working out, you're meeting people, you're calling on other founders that can join you. And that's, a very good way of network.
Guys, well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a fascinating conversation. And of course, we'll be keeping a close track on the following steps from SolarX. But in the meantime, thank you very much, guys, for being here and wishing you all the best. And of course, enjoy Spain, Dario, while you're there.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go get a beer or maybe a glass of wine,
Fantastic. Guys, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. And thanks to you for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe via your favorite podcast app to be notified about new episodes and share with us your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Thank you also to the Maxpreneurs team, Valeria Morel, Hector Barragan from Hyper Voltage, Francisco Jaimes, Pamela Elizalde, Katia Cruz, Rocío Marroquín. I am Sergio Chavez. See you next time.